good example how we can solve the problems. And in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he asks this question to Krishna. He says, Yat Shreyasya Nishchitam Bruhitan me. He's asking Krishna, please tell me what is definitely good for me. And he's using this word Shreyas. I don't know how you are Hindi speaking, right? So you are more close to Sanskrit. So you know the term Shreyas better than I do, most probably. But we speak about these terms Shreyas and Preyas. So Shreyas means all good, means it's long-term solution. And Preyas means immediate good. I want to enjoy now. So this is a very important thing in the beginning, that we look for the Shreyas, for the long term, the lasting good, the lasting solution. And here it is also mentioned to put a full stop to all sufferings. We are not happy just solving one small problem. No, we want to solve all the problems. So this is a very nice presentation, which I am using, and this is put together by our mentors, especially Radheshyam Prabhu, who serves in Mumbai. Somehow it's not working now. Oh, okay, like this. So what we see here, first of all, we have to see what are actually the problems of life. Without knowing what are the problems, it will be very difficult to find solutions. So first of all, we have to understand what are the real problems in life. And then what is presented in this presentation and what we're going to speak about is solutions which are presented by science. And we can basically say these are material solutions, means on the material platform, they try to solve the problem. And then what we're going to talk about last, the most important part of this presentation, is the permanent solution. Means spiritual solution, which comes through Vedic wisdom. So what we see here, two people talking, what are the real problems in life? And this person, he presents a few of his problems. Maybe these problems are known to you as well. Family problem, no job, no money. I'm not handsome. I failed in exam, no girlfriend. So these are problems for sure. But these are not the real problems. But what are the real problems? And to understand what is a real problem, we have to take into consideration these 3 points here. So first of all, it is common to all. Means it is a problem for everyone. Second, it is a problem which nobody wants. Yeah, maybe what is the problem for me is not a problem for you. For example, sometimes in Switzerland, we have a lot of bad weather, rain, cloudy. And then sometimes it happens when we have some Indian visitors, we lament, oh, it's rainy. And then we see how Indians, they like it actually, because in India, it's often very hot and sunny. So they enjoy. So we can see not every problem is a problem for everyone. And the third criteria is that nobody can avoid it. So some problems we can actually solve. Like if I don't have a job, I can get a job. If I don't have money, I can earn money. So these problems we can solve, and therefore these are not real problems. The real problems are those which cannot be solved. So then the question comes up, which are the real problems? And there are 4 real problems. And this is not something we came up with. No, this is something that Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita explains. And the 4 real problems he's talking about is birth, old age, disease, and death. And here it is the quote in Bhagavad Gita in the 13th chapter. Krishna is saying, he's describing what is knowledge. And he's saying, Janma Mrityu Chara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. Janma, you know what Janma means, birth. Mrityu, death. Chara means old age. No, Jara means disease. No, Jara means old age. Vyadi means disease. Dukkha means distress. Dosha Anudarshanam means the fault, to see the fault. So that is knowledge, if we can see that these are actually the problems in life. And we can see how, for example, birth. Nobody talks about birth in today's modern world because birth is over. Now we are old or we are grown up. So we don't have to worry about birth. But that is actually a wrong understanding because we will again take birth. We are a spirit soul, means we have this material body and we took birth. But if we die, we're going to leave this body and then go into another body. And then we're going to take birth again. But the problem is we don't remember about birth. We actually have no real memory how we felt when we were in the womb. And there is a nice video which is put in this presentation, and we're just going to watch it. It will open our eyes a bit, what is actually the problem of birth. I'm sorry, I just stopped. Actually, the video goes longer, but somehow it just stopped. Anyway, what you can see here, it's also written down on the side, what happens in the womb, that you have to stay for 9 months in this small cage in the womb of your mother. And it's very uncomfortable. I'm not going to go into detail now. If you are interested to know more about it, you can ask Sora Krishna Prabhu. He can send you the presentation and the video, and you can have a look at it in detail. Then the next problem is more known to us, old age. Actually, nobody likes to become old, especially in the West. It is many people, they try to avoid old age. People, they use a lot of products to, have a nice skin. They will put color in their hair so you don't see that they have gray hair. They will make their teeth, and some they even make surgeries just to look young. Because in old age, what happens, people, they tend to become more ugly and they become more weak. And it's a fact. Nobody likes weak and ugly people in general. People, they look for beauty, they look for strength. And if somebody doesn't have it, then this person becomes unattractive. And something what is actually happening, especially in the West, but I'm hearing also in India, it's slowly happening more and more, that old people, because they become a burden, they are put in old age homes. I think in India, in the big cities, you also know about this. In the West, it's common. It's done. Everybody does it. So previously, the children, they would take care of their parents when they get old. But nowadays, they put them in an old age home. And these people, very lonely actually, they pass their last days in this body, and then eventually they're gonna die. But nobody thinks about it, because especially in the West, the old age homes, they're a little bit remote. Nobody sees them. And then nobody thinks about that. Maybe one day I could also be old, and we live when we are young. Here we see Arnold Schwarzenegger, famous person who used to be Mr. Universe, very strong. And we can see on the right-hand side how he looks now. And now he's actually even older. He looks even worse. Yeah, here it is mentioned, cosmetic industry, they are flourishing. So much money is being spent just to look more beautiful. I'm going to skip that video. Then the next problem, disease. Now, disease, we all know very well. We get disease when we are young, but more likely we become diseased when we are older. Just now we had the COVID pandemic, where we heard a lot about disease. So nobody likes to suffer pain, disease. It's very natural. And we go to the doctor, we go to the hospital, so we can remain healthy. And then the last one is death. Nobody wants to die, right? Here there's a quote from Garuda Mahapurana. And what is very interesting, here it is described what actually happens at the time of death. It is said, indeed, O Garuda, when the hour of death approaches, then by chance a certain disease raises up its head. The organs grow weak, troubles start showing their powers, as if all of a sudden millions of scorpions have strung the person. I don't know if any one of you has been bitten or stung by a scorpion. I haven't, but I heard it's very painful. So here it is described millions of scorpions. That's how painful it is. And we might think maybe that's an exaggeration, or we cannot imagine. But if you think about that, all we know is actually this bodily existence. We identify with this body so much. Imagine you don't have this body, and now you have to leave the body at the time of death. So it will be very, very painful, because the soul goes out of the body. And this moment is very painful, and it's a lot of suffering. That's another quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. You can, if you want to have more information, again, you can talk to Sora Krishna Prabhu. And also, I think Dinadayal Hari Prabhu will be there to give you more quotes from the scriptures. Actually, I want to mention one thing, and I hope I can get it right. But in Mahabharata, I think all of you know Mahabharata. There is one story how when the Pandavas, they were in exile, then there is a story how all the Pandavas, they got kidnapped by a Rakshasa. And Yudhishthira went to this one Rakshasa. And this Rakshasa asked many questions. And one question that was asked in this conversation was, what is the most astonishing thing in this world? And then Yudhishthira Maharaj gave the answer. He said, the most astonishing thing is that everybody can see that people are dying. Everybody dies. My grandparents die, you know, at one point my parents die, friends die, relatives die. But nobody will really think about that at one point it will happen to me as well. And this is most astonishing, meaning that most people, they just spend their whole life and they don't really think about death. So that's why we have this presentation today, to really meditate about this, not to become negative, but to try to find solutions. So then there is another very important concept, which speaks about the so-called threefold miseries. And these are called in Sanskrit Adhyatmika Klesha, Adhibautika Klesha, and Adhidevika Klesha. So that is a very nice classification of all the sufferings not only a human being, but every living entity experiences. And these sufferings always come through these three different sources. Adhyatmika Klesha means Atmika. It comes from myself. It comes from my body. It comes from my own mind. Adhibautika. Bautika means other living entities. So they give suffering. And Adhidevika means Devika, something higher. So some natural disasters which happen. So here we see some images which should present these Adhyatmika Klesha problems. And this is actually very, also speaking from where I'm coming from, I don't know how many of you have been to Switzerland, but Switzerland is a very well-to-do country on a material plane. People have a lot of money. Nature is quite clean and nice. People are well educated. They're kind of in good health. It's nice circumstances. However, what we see, especially in the present days, people are very unhappy. Means we don't have many external sufferings, you know, we don't have drought, we don't have tsunamis. Also, we don't have war or something like this. There is no hunger, but people have a lot of problem with their mind. You know, here it is said, lack of family support, stress. People are very unhappy because they don't have good relationships and things like this. So this is Adhyatmika Klesha. Then we have Adhibautika Klesha. So Adhibautika Klesha means suffering which has been caused by other living entities. This can be caused by human beings, it can be caused by animals. You know, we can think of simple examples like if a mosquito bites me, stinches me, that is Adhibautika Klesha. Everybody experiences. Then Adhidevika Klesha means some they experience more. It depends a little bit on where you are. You experience excessive heat or cold, rain, storm. So these are the problems. I'm going to skip this video as well. So now we spoke about the problems. We spoke about these 4 problems, and then how we can classify the problems in life into 3 categories, one being Adhyatmika, Adhibautika, and Adhidevika. And now we can see in the next section how the material scientists, they try to solve the problems. Actually, they don't solve the problems, but they try to how we will see later, they try to patch it up. So very rightfully it is said here, although we are advanced in medical science and have latest technology at our disposal, never has there been a time in the last, in the recent history where there has been so much technological advancement. But still, people, they get sick. Now there was this COVID pandemic, and we are so advanced, but for 2 years, more than 2 years, the whole world is struggling, trying to, get rid of disease and suffering, but actually it's not really possible because nature is much stronger than human being and his technological advancement. Here is a very nice example. Of course, it's sad, but we can take example from Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a very famous box champion from the US, and he's called the greatest of all time. And when he became old, he was suffering from Parkinson. And here it is mentioned, the condition became so bad that he couldn't even lift a cup of coffee. And we know that Muhammad Ali, he had a lot of money. He was very influential, powerful, but even he couldn't avoid, because nature or karma was just stronger and he had to suffer. So that's what modern science does. They try to make medicine, chemical medicine, so that we can reduce suffering. So here is another aspect which comes with this whole advancement, trying to solve the problems. So many other problems come, and one of these is pollution. So Martin Luther King says here, now man can fly like a bird in the sky and swim like a fish underwater in a submarine. The only problem is he can't walk on land like human being because of pollution. Here we see tires from cars. That there's another video if you want to see it. It's about how plastic is spread all over the world and everybody's consuming plastic. So pollution is another problem. Then here we see the danger of nuclear bombs, which have been created by modern science. But what does a bomb help? A bomb cannot really help. It can only destroy, and it's actually a danger for life. So here we see a few examples how modern science, they try to find or patch up. So here we see old age. If you have white hair, they use hair dye. Wrinkles, they use facelift, which often looks very strange if people have a facelift. Did you ever see? Looks very strange. Back pain, they use painkillers. And just recently we saw with also Corona, people used to have breathlessness, and then they use oxygen tubes, which is not the solution eventually. So here, the conclusion, superficial patch-up solutions cannot free us from suffering. So patch-up, I think you must know what it means. Patch-up means you kind of cover the problem. But the problem and its root is still there. Means you patch it up, but then because the problem is so strong, it will push through and it will show again. And that is very nice. We can patch up the problems to fool some people for some time, but the reality will be soon exposed. So the conclusion is science and technology cannot stop old age, cannot eradicate disease, and actually they have no understanding of life and death. So this is another very important point, which I mentioned briefly before, that even though we are so advanced, again, I would like to talk from personal experience. Growing up in Switzerland, a place of a lot of prosperity. But I can, from my experience, say people are not really happy. On the contrary, people tend to become more unhappy. People in Switzerland, in the West, they take a lot of drugs to become happy. They drink alcohol. They smoke. They have a lot of, means how they try to become happy. And what does it actually show? It shows that they try very hard to become happy, but actually they are not. So this we're going to skip here. So then we would like to come to the last part. And I think I'm a little bit short in time, but this is the permanent solution, which is Vedic wisdom. Actually, spiritual solution. It is said that the material problem and birth, death, old age, and disease, that is actually a problem on the material plane. And we cannot solve it with a material solution. We can only solve it with a spiritual solution. And I want to make it a little short. I'm not going to go through all the slides, but what we learn from Bhagavad Gita is that if we understand why we are suffering, so we are dying, we become old, we have a disease, and we take birth, and we're going to take birth again if we don't become free from karma and actually become a devotee of Krishna. So the problem is that we have to accept a material body. We are a spirit soul, and we have to accept the body according to our karma. Because we have a desire to enjoy, then material nature will provide a body. So that is actually the problem. And that's what Krishna speaks about. That Janma Mrityu Jaravyadi Dukkha Doshanudarshanam. That knowledge means that I see that it's a problem that I take birth. It's a problem that I'm going to become old and diseased. And it's a problem that I'm going to die. And I should solve this problem. And that's why the Vedic literatures, they give information that you, as a living being, you are not the body, but you are a spirit soul. And as a spirit soul, you can go to the spiritual world. And this you do by performing yoga. And especially in this time and age, it's bhakti yoga. That you connect yourself through devotional service with Krishna, with God. And there is a very nice slide here. I would like to show you that. I'm not so familiar with using this presentation, so it takes a little long sometimes. So what I just said in Bhagavad Gita, it is very nicely described. As a person puts on new dresses, giving up old ones, then the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. We can all very nicely, think about this example that we take on new clothes and when they're old, we give it up. And it's the same with our body as well. And then here, Bhagavad Gita gives very nice explanation how this actually happens. What is the science behind a soul leaving the body and taking on a new one? And there is this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Yang yang vapis param bhavam tyachatanta kalevaram tang tang evaiti kontya sada tatbhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being, yang yang vapis param bhavam, one remembers when he quits his body. O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So we heard about this, some people, they make research that when a person dies, then the whole life will pass by in a movie. So whatever you do through your whole life, at the time of death, it will come. And whatever you feel attached to, whatever you remember at the time of death, then that destination you will attain. And this depends on two factors. It depends mainly on desires we have in the mind and on our karma. So I have a desire, but then according to what I have on my bank balance, spiritual or karma balance, this I will get. So we all know this, I will skip that. The karma is a topic in itself. We don't have time to explain this now. So basically what we see here is these things which bind us to the material body. So we have, eating meat and fish and all these kind of things which give us heavy karmic reactions. Intoxication, if we want to change our consciousness by drugs and alcohol, gambling and illicit sex. This is actually very, very common in the whole world, that people try to become happy by sex life. There is a lot of pornography, etc. And the effect is that a spirit soul will be more and more attached to the body. And it is described that one who actually indulges in these kind of activities will again take birth due to attachment. And this person will take birth in different life forms. So that's why we have to counteract these tendencies. And for this, we have different means. So we have austerity, sacrifice, knowledge, association of saints. But especially I like this one, and I would like to show you this. So here it is spoken about, and then I will end. I cannot see what it says, but it's the ABCDE of spiritual life. So the A is association, means we have to come together with other people who also practice spiritual life. Then B, we need books, we need knowledge, which is giving us guidance, and actually which is giving us a perfect vision of reality. And C means chanting. This is the main process we follow. We chant the names of Krishna, of God. And in this way, we become happy on the spiritual plane by associating with Krishna himself. Then D, diet. We eat prasadam, food which has been offered to Krishna, and then we accept the remnants. And in this way, the food is free from karma. And then the last one is engagement. It means we have to do something practical. We all have a physical body, we have energy, so we have to use it in some way. And this can be done by performing seva, service, and it can be done in many ways. We can clean, we can cook, We can give a lecture like I do now. We can go out and distribute books to other people. We can do Kirtan, means we sing. So many things. And when one does these things, here it is said, the man who has escaped these three gates of hell, lust, anger, and greed, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. So I would like to end with this point, which is very important, that this bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness, it's a process. Means it's like it is said, is gradually. Gradually we will move towards the goal. And we can all start today, and I think all of you have started, and I also started some time ago. And now we move towards the supreme and final destination, which is the spiritual world. And there we don't have to have a material body, but we will have a spiritual body. And Krishna, he promises that whoever reaches this destination, he or she will never have to come back to the material world. So that is the actual solution, that we get free from our material consciousness. And in this way, we can get free from a material body and we can attain our original position as a spiritual living entity with Krishna and serving him in the spiritual world. Thank you very much for your attention. And I would like to end here. I think I went over time a bit. So please forgive me for that. And if you have any questions or if you actually want to comment or add something, feel free to do that.
Hare Krishna. If anyone having question, they can write in the chat box.
I'm actually seeing already there's two questions. One, should I reply to those?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to just reply now maybe to Gaurav Pari, who wrote, Sir, my parents fed me non-veg when I was a child and I was physically weak. But when I grew up, I decided not to and to eat only sattvic food. So I'm pure or I will remain impure. Only can I achieve God still. So I think the question is if because of eating meat as a child, if we can still attain God, right? So I also, growing up in the West, I have eaten meat, not only when I was physically weak. So, and many of us, we have had bad habits before. But fortunately, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityacha Mamekam Sharanam Bracha Ahang Tvang Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Suchaha. That if you surrender to God, he will free you from all sinful reactions. Mokshayishyami Ma Sucha, Sarva Papebhyo. No Papebhyo we know. So in this way, no need to be worried. We can just continue practicing. And at one point, when we are completely free and pure, we can surrender to Krishna, and he will then actually free us from all sinful reactions. Then Akshat Kumar is asking, Sir, can you please explain how to be calm and be focused in our goal, aim? So the goal and aim, what is the goal and aim? Akshat Kumar Prabhu, you want to explain what, maybe you can clarify your question a bit? Okay, so you're saying my aim is to become a researcher. So, and why you're not calm and why you're not focused? Your question is, how can I be calm and focused? So why are you not calm and why are you not focused?
Hare Krishna. Akshat, you can unmute yourself and you can ask.
Sir, I am getting distracted many times. So how can I be calm and focused?
But my question to you is why you're not focused, why you're not calm.
Unmute, Akshat. Akshat, please unmute yourself.
Haribol Akshat, you want to reply to my question? My question is, why are you unfocused and why? Oh, he's trying to unmute.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trying to be calm, but I can't be calm. I'm getting distracted many times. So how can I be calm?
So what is distracting you?
Sir, many times everything which I am seeing now, I'm getting distracted by that whole thing.
I mean, one thing is, in everything, as far as I understand, also from Bhagavad Gita, if we don't understand the importance of the goal, we will always be distracted. No, if I want to become a professional cricket player, no, in India, people like to play cricket. It is not easy. You have to train a lot. You have to live very austere life. You have to renounce many things. So only somebody who actually knows the goal and he's really focused on it by understanding, if I reach the goal, then I can become happy. They can focus. But if I don't know the value of what is my goal, then I will always be distracted. So we have to find the goal where we can be 100% sure that this will actually make me happy. And from Bhagavad Gita, we learn this is actually to be Krishna conscious. That's what will make us happy. So if we can focus on Krishna by understanding who we are and who is Krishna and what is our relationship, then focus becomes very easy. So now when it comes to practical matters, like when it comes to your studies or your job, if you can see it in connection to Krishna, let's say you want to have a good job so you can earn money so that you can provide for your family so that they can practice nicely Krishna consciousness, means they can, without much stress, they can practice spiritual life. Okay, so then you can connect this with your own Krishna consciousness, and in this way you will feel inspired. It will become a service.
Yes, sir.
You see the bigger purpose behind, and I think that's important to see why we're actually doing it. We're not doing it for ourselves. We're not really doing it for other people, but eventually we are doing it for Krishna. And if we see that actually what we want to achieve is in line with what Krishna wants, what our Guru wants, then we become very focused.
Yes, sir, understood.
Is it okay like this?
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. It's Gaurav here.
Hare Krishna.
So it's Gaurav here. Actually, I wanted to ask that in this world, every day, just everybody tries to put you down by direct or indirect ways, by some sarcastic statements.
Okay.
Hello, sir. It's
Yes.
Gaurav here.
Hare
So actually, I wanted to ask Hare Krishna, sir. Actually, I wanted to ask that so in this world, everybody every day just tries to put you down by some direct or indirect methods, by some sarcastic ways. So I every day just tolerates it, and I just keep some myself patient. But I just don't understand that. I think that one day will come when I will get just break of all this. So what should I be doing? Should I because all this statement matters to me, it affects me.
Thank you so much for your honest question. Gaurav is your name?
Yes, Gaurav.
Gaurav. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. I think you are asking something which we all experience in life. We live in a very competitive world, and there is a lot of sometimes unpleasant encounters, no? So I think one thing which is very important for everyone is to understand that the place we live in, the material world, that's the nature of this world. You know, in this world, everybody, he has a false ego. And due to false ego, there is always competition. Means I want to be better than you, you want to be better than him. And in this way, I try to put somebody else down and establish my position, right? So in this way, we can understand that it's normal. It has to be expected. And then by getting spiritual knowledge, we can learn to tolerate more. And what is most important is we have to find friendship with people who don't put us down. Because from what we learn, and actually many of us who have taken shelter of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and we've come to ISKCON, we associate with like-minded people. And it's very nice to see, for me personally, I've been traveling in many countries, but it doesn't matter from where you come. It doesn't matter what is your background. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter all these things. But that you are a spirit soul and you try to serve God, you try to be a servant of Krishna. That's why I like you. And that is actually the consciousness of the spiritual world, that everybody appreciates the other person because he or she is serving God. So if we can, on one hand, understand that where we are, it's normal, that there will be conflict and that there will be disappointments and pain due to relationship. And then we see how the goal we strive for is a place where we can live very happily with other people. Then we can learn to tolerate whatever, unpleasant things we experience here, and we can move on. But the main thing is that we take association of people who are on a different platform. And these kind of people are people in spiritual consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying one who is actually learned, one who is really spiritually awake, he can see all the living entities equal. He doesn't make a distinction between a tree, a dog, a cow, a human being. He will feel appreciation and love for all of them. So it is our decision. Do we want to be with people who accept this reality? Or do we want to be with people who want to be in competition and basically exploit one another? Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. So I just see from Anuj Mishra to everyone, how you learn Sanskrit shlok of Bhagavad Gita. Here in India, if there is Sanskrit in 6 to 8, they replace with other subjects. Students have fear of the subject. That's a very nice question as well. There is one friend of mine here in Zurich. He's from India, and he came to Switzerland due to his studies, and now he's working. But in the process of him being in Switzerland, he started to become a very serious Sanskrit student. And he also started to teach, and I sometimes take lessons from him. Unfortunately, I don't have so much time, but Sanskrit is it's actually the most wonderful language. And I'm very unhappy to hear that in India, they replace Sanskrit and actually take it out of the curriculum. So I encourage whoever has the opportunity, especially those who come from an Indian background, where the mother tongue is very close to Sanskrit, learn this language. I think it will open up so many opportunities to understand Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So how we do in ISKCON, we just study these books. And as you may know, Srila Prabhupada, our guru, he translated all the shlokas with word-for-word translation. And in this way, we learn slowly the shlokas, and even we understand a little bit Sanskrit. Okay. If there is no other questions.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. If anyone have any question, they can ask. Okay. So we can finish here. Questions are not coming. So thank you, Prabhuji, for your time and wonderful explanation on the topic. And it was our honor to receive you on today for this seminar. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So we wish to have your sessions in near future. Hare Krishna. And if you want to give some small message to students, you can share.
Yeah, I would also like to thank, especially, are you Dina Dayal Hari Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Prabhu, because we never met, and I only see your name admin too. So I would like to thank you for the invitation, and I would like to thank Rasananda Prabhu also, and I would like to thank all of you who came and took your time to listen. and hopefully we will see again in the future. And maybe in the future I can come, because I was also invited from Rasananda. I think all of you are in Bhopal, right?
Yes, yes, Guruji.
Yeah, I actually would like to come to Bhopal sometime when I visit India and get your association.
Yeah. Yes, Guruji. Please come, Bhopal, and we will have offline session for all the students who are here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, everyone, for connecting today. So tomorrow we'll have the next session in the same time. So tomorrow also we'll have amazing speakers from our ISKCON society. So please be here tomorrow at 7 p.m. And thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.